Howdy folks, LP Guru here signing in for Let's Play Final Fantasy 1 Episode 16. As always, we're picking up right where the previous episode ended. And we're going to be heading straight back to Mount Gulg, so we can hopefully complete it in this episode. The definite nice thing about already having done what we are currently doing is that I have this area memorized, and that is a definite testament to how powerful all of these monsters are, because only one was defeated by Bolt 3. That's what I'm talking about. Well over 1,000 experience from a single fight. I may actually try to take a little advantage of this area just for a few minutes. See if we can't. Well, I'm not going to say get closer to level 30 since they still need right over 7,800 experience for one level up, but if possible, I would like to level up one more time before getting back to the dungeon. It's like I always say, I won't rehash it word for word, but I will say this: you've got to make it a point to level up as much as possible. Before getting into story-related dungeons that really and truly cannot be emphasized enough. And I try my best to practice what I always preach. But I'm not simply saying all that I say for your sake. I'm saying it, for mine as well. Another key factor to keep in mind is that we don't have Warp 2. We're not Warp 2, but Warp 1 yet. We don't have that spell at all. So we actually have to travel on foot back to the entrance of a dungeon. So if we find ourselves in the situation of, hypothetically speaking, being on the 4th floor of this dungeon, and we're starting to run low on magic, we have to fight our way all the way back to the surface, travel the rivers again to get back to town. So I cannot stress the importance of being a proper level. I can't stress that enough. And like always, just make sure to, I'm going to use Cure 3 instead, but just make sure to always replenish health. We're now down into the mid 5,000 range to level up, so it's not super fast, but it's also not a super slow process either. With, you know, acquiring experience and leveling up in this area. The main reason why it seems like you tend to level up quicker when in a dungeon is because the dungeon is much more sprawling than this little area that we are going back and forth in. Right now. By the time Shield 2 gets cast, the fight may be over. Thankfully that's not the case, but I was expecting for the monk to take that one crocodile out and then Shield 2 be cast, but at least it didn't play out that way. So it wasn't a complete waste of magic. And it's definitely your top two, or not just your, but the top two characters, the warrior and the monk, that are taking the most hits right now, which I'm not mad about at all. Okay, and this area is where the white croc can be experienced, and as noted, yes, that's the first KO experienced. Very unexpected. I really don't think we have run into a white croc, if I could talk, yet. I don't know if we have or not. Jeez. Yeah, critical definitely deals over 100. 100 hit points of damage to the warrior, so you can definitely know that it would KO either of the spellcasters in a single hit if they received a critical from it. But this is why it's always important to level up, because you never know when you are going to run into something like that. And that was not a pretty fight at all, but thankfully we have enough MP to take it on, and for everyone to survive. I'm actually going to take a quick look at that. There's no quick way to actually take that back. Yeah, there is R2. You can skip down a whole page. Where are we at? White Croc. Okay, so we have encountered a few more, but that, for whatever reason, was a much more devastating encounter with them. Yeah, and you can see right there they have an attack value of 56, so that's why. And even though, another interesting note, even though they are weak to bolt, they have a very high magic defense. So that's why the bolt spells aren't doing too much damage to them, but the coral sword is. And while I'm here, I'm going to look and see what. Okay. So these little baddies don't have any kind of weakness, but it is as I thought, and as I was saying in the previous episode, they must have a relatively high magic defense. I kept calling it intelligence. I've been mistaken. They don't have the same kind of stats as all of the characters do. It's simply hit points, attack, defense, and magic defense. So their magic defense, though, is very high. But another nice thing to keep in mind when seeing all of this is anything that any given monster would have any kind of natural resistance to will be listed in the resistance section. So since none of the status altering type spells are listed, it's safe to, I don't want to say assume, because there's a saying behind what happens when you assume, and if you are unfamiliar with that saying, and go look it up, please. And then you will understand why I'm not actually saying the entire thing. But I'm not saying that it's safe to assume that such spells would be effective 100% of the time. But what it does mean is that there is a chance for certain spells that aren't listed in the resistance section to be successful. That's all it means. The game isn't going to be too nice and too easy. It's not going to make it too easy for us. But knowing this, the next time I do run into these little baddies, I'm going to try to take them out with something like let me look at the magic really quick. Something like poison. See if I can't take out more than one in a single casting, since their magic defense is so high. This is definitely an older enemy formation. I'm going to try to get Fire 2 cast just to speed this entire fight up and end it. There we go. Only 56 experience points. It's so crazy to think that was once a lot of experience. Alright, so here we are, back in Mount Gulg. Always making it a point to heal up after running across lava. And there we go again, the cursor getting crazy on me, and let's see, okay, it wasn't successful, but I will say, if, and I may be mistaken because it has been a very, very long time since I've actually had to do, run away from a fight, but I believe that if you ever have one of your characters that is trying to flee from a fight, whether it is intentional or not, if your cursor goes crazy on you and you select it before you realize that you have selected that, and then you can't, go back. But if it is successful and that one character is able to run away, I believe the fight ends. I believe the entire party runs away. So it doesn't require all 4 characters to choose the flee option. If only one of them is able to do so, then everyone will run away. Alright, come on now, don't do that. Don't put me at the bottom of the stairs. I can't stand that kind of placement. Can't stand it. But the really nice thing about having explored what all we did in the previous episode, we can jump that much further, just go straight to the starting point of continuing. No need to lollygag and waste extra time. And yes, I ultimately decided, as everyone saw, to not attempt to level grind in the water area, because that one fight with the white crocs was much, much more unexpected. Okay. And there's nothing in here, just an empty room, but there's no way to know that ahead of time. Sometimes you do have to check out the area, because there may be a piece of a room that you just can't see. So there's no way to know unless you actually check it out. go ahead and get the claymore equipped. I'm gonna make sure that it actually stayed equipped. Okay, good. For the next fight, and I don't believe there's any kind of secret passages in the original Final Fantasy. It's definitely a feature that is added in later games. Not sure as to the actual first game where the feature makes its debut, but I don't believe it's this one. Alright, finally, new territory. And start us off by taking us to a dead end, which is lovely. That's important to note that since I think its attack was called Blaze that it used on us, it doesn't deal that much damage, but its physical attack does. So Shield 2 is the safest. It is the safest option. Once again, you just have to pay attention to, well, not in this case, you know, their attack pattern, but you just have to pay attention to which attack deals the most damage, and then act accordingly. And the one time I don't put Nullifier up is when it takes an action I did not know that it was capable of doing. So let that be yet another lesson. But also, sometimes there's no way to predict. And even had I known, this isn't me that's saying, oh, going to my own defense. Nothing like that at all. It's simply an observation I just made. But that fight ended so quickly that had I already selected Nullifier to be cast, but it wasn't cast in time, then it wouldn't have mattered. Or had it been cast after receiving the damage that was received, that would have been a waste of magic. So it's literally a toss-up. There really and truly is no way. I'll have to go back and check the recording during my edit phase, because at some point it looked like the live commentary might have skipped out, and I have no idea when. It's super annoying because I had just I had just checked to make sure it was working, so since that's the case, then maybe it hadn't been out for long. At least, yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But just in case it did miss quite a bit, I will try to paraphrase, sum up in a simple way what I had been saying, and it was simply, no matter how prepared you think you may be, there's always going to be... I'm going to check out the rest of this room first before taking that staircase. But there's always going to be different things that can happen very unexpectedly that you're just going to take damage from. And there's no getting around that. There's not. So if that ever happens to you, don't feel bad. Don't feel like a failure or that, you know, you could have, done more, or however it is that you may feel. That is just testament to how challenging this game becomes the further and further you progress in it. But I can guarantee everyone right now, a lot of things I've experienced so far in this playthrough has been, par for the course. But every now and then, I've witnessed something that I've never witnessed before. And I'm definitely glad that I'm making a recording of this playthrough so that it can be, documented. But the main thing that I can guarantee everyone is that you're never going to experience the exact same. Okay, so that was the only other way to get out of here. But you are never going to experience the exact same things. You could play this game back to back if you wanted to. You could play it, beat it, all the above, back to back if you wanted to. If that didn't bore you, I can guarantee you, you would have a different experience. And mind you, play it on the exact same difficulty setting. So if you played it on easy mode the first time, of course, keep it on easy mode for your second playthrough. You'll experience something different in your second playthrough. I have never had the exact same experiences with this game, with any Final Fantasy game, really. And I've played through each multiple times, and it's just the nature of the game, the nature of the beast. You never know what you're gonna get, but that's one of the many factors that makes RPGs so fun to play. But even though you may have beaten the game once or however many times, there's always something new to learn in each playthrough. And that's also true to the game's story. You may feel that, you have the story, nailed down 100%. All the twists and turns and everything. But then your next playthrough, you pick up on a detail that you've never, noticed before. And it may be the most, minor of details too. But still, it's significant. You've noticed something. You've learned something new that you didn't know was there before, or it may be something from a gameplay perspective where you missed a certain side quest or a certain whatever, piece of equipment, spell, something optional to the entire game that you never knew existed before. And it's just it's hard to explain what all I'm saying. It can't do it justice. It really can't. That's why, when I've been asked by random people at random times in my life, why RPGs, why that is my overall favorite type of game. And I try my best to not sound cliche, because I do actually attempt to, give valid, reasons and examples like I just, mentioned. But ultimately, I've told a lot of people, it really is something that just has to be experienced. Like I could dedicate an entire recording, not even playing any given game, but I could dedicate an entire hour's worth of talking, of me going down a list, and a list that I have created myself, mind you, not something that I have, looked up, online somewhere and am reciting, from that list, but something that I have created myself. I could do something like that and it still wouldn't be enough, because RPGs are a type of game that has to be experienced. And each game is different, not just each Final Fantasy, but each RPG. They're all different. And that's another reason why I do enjoy the Final Fantasy series like I do, because even though it's all in the same series, each game is different. Yes, you have certain staples and certain returning themes that you may see in different games. It's not guaranteed to be seen in each chronological game. You may only see it in one game and then not see it again until 3 or 4 games later. But those aren't the things I'm talking about. It's the stories, the different elements, the different scenarios, all of the above. It's always blown my mind how creative all these people have always been. So, you know, for the people out there who are of the ideology, of the belief that, you know, creative works and using your imagination and everything, you know, that there's no future, you can't actually make a livelihood off of that. That's a bunch of crap. But that's a definite, for instance, that I can speak on directly. For those kind of people that I've experienced in life, I redirect them to video games. I'm like, Exhibit A. And you know what's really funny, but mostly sad, is that most of those people, when they're presented with that kind of response, they don't have anything valid to say back. And see, I don't know if it's because they are genuinely, you know, surprised that I have actually responded to them the way that I did. I don't know. But there's always been a lack of reply, and of course that in and of itself, it's annoying, but as I've gotten older and I have experienced more and more in life, I have come to learn that, you know, there's certain situations where I just have to let certain things go because some things just aren't worth it. And, you know, for some people, when they have nothing valid to say in response, or especially when they have had no response at all, I have come to learn that I'm right. But I also try not to gloat. I try not to be, you know, that kind of person. I try to find satisfaction in the fact that they have, you know, such a narrow-minded perspective, but that what I just said back to them may have opened their eyes for the first time. So, you know, they may not have anything valid to say in that particular moment, but they may be viewing things from a different perspective now than they have been in the past. And, you know, the reason I say all that I'm saying is because it bugs me. It bothers me. That's definitely a topic that I'm passionate about. Something that I will stand up for not only myself, but for other people. Because there's all kinds of different people in this world. Some are great with their hands. You know, they're going to be great things, whether it be in, you know, carpentry, like, you know, woodworking, or, you know, other types of areas related, you know, to that. Some people are very talented in the realm of, you know, music, whether it be that they can, you know, they're a really good singer, or you're very talented with a certain instrument. Some people are very intelligent in the regard of, book smarts. Things come to them very easily. They don't really have to study as much as other people do in order to grasp and fully comprehend, different things. And that's awesome, because that opens up the door to a lot of different, possibilities later in life. So many different, job fields, way too many for me to list individually, but my main sticking point has always been for those who don't really feel like they fit into any of those categories. And don't get me wrong, those examples, they're just a few of countless examples. There's just a few things that just, I just randomly popped into my head, and I just rattled them off as they came to me. But there's so many more things that exist. But, for those who feel like they don't really fit in, into any of those categories, that's okay. There's absolutely, nothing wrong with that, because none of us are the same. Even if you come from a family, whether it be your actual immediate family, your parents, your siblings, or if you're an only child, just your parents, or if you have a cousin, older cousin, or aunts and uncles, whatever the situation, may be. But if you have a lot of people in your family who come from, I'll pause this really quick, Ice Brand is definitely going to come in handy. Just about everything is going to be falling super quickly to the sword. Back to what I was saying though. Just because you have a lot of people in your family who are very skilled in a certain way, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that you may be, or whoever may be. I'm applying you in a general sense here. But that's absolutely okay. You may be a very creative individual. You may love to write. Maybe. Well, I said just then, over 500 hit points worth of damage. I know it's a critical, but still, that's a nice punch. Hacked a nice punch. And then here we go with the flame shield. It's another great piece of equipment. And yes, I'm trying to to tie everything in together, and then move on with what all I'm saying. But I'm passionate about these things because I can relate. I can relate more than a lot of people realize. And it never sits well with me when I see anyone see it, hear it, hear about it, whatever the case may be. It never sits well with me to know that someone is being, talked down to, or is being, thought less of in any regard. Can't stand it. Can't stand it because, each person, they have their own worth. They really and truly do. And just because someone may be different from someone else, that doesn't diminish their worth any. If nothing else, it makes that person all the more unique and all the more valuable. That's something that really has always blown my mind. It's like, how about instead of people in a general sense being so quick to criticize and point out differences and make a big deal, but in a negative way, about another person's differences, why don't we celebrate those differences instead? When you're right under 6,000 experience to level up. It's just, I could go on and on at this topic, clearly, but I'm going to make myself shut up. Otherwise, I will keep going on and on and on about it. But that's me. I am unapologetically me. I try to be fair to every person. I try to be understanding. We may not see, I may not see eye to eye with some people. That's natural. That's life. We're all human. We're all different. But one thing that I do always try my best to be and do is understanding. I'm never going to understand, somebody else that I have nothing, I may have nothing in common with, if I'm unwilling to, have a conversation with them. And who knows? I may have nothing specific in common, like common interest things that, we might enjoy, doing together, that may not exist, but we could enjoy doing the same things, meaning, whatever the case may be. If I enjoy certain movies, or if I enjoy writing, or if I enjoy singing, or, whatever the scenario may be, that other person, they could have the same interest. They could be really good at, the same thing. But, if I was never willing to sit down and have a conversation with them and try to get to know them better, then I wouldn't, I would be none the wiser. But I would also be poorer for it. Just one of those things. Just always be mindful. And I think that's one of my main, I really do think that's one of the main takeaways that I'm trying to impart to everyone. No, I'm not trying to be super philosophical by any means, but it's just, I just randomly popped in my head everything that I've been talking about. My brain tends to do that, chalk it up to having, well, I'm sure I have ADD. I don't know if I've ever officially been diagnosed, but I would not be I would not be surprised one bit. But that's okay if I am. No clue, but if I am, I'm perfectly fine with that. So yes, back to the game at hand. We are, I think, on the 4th floor. Yeah, we are. And we have acquired a good bit of gear, and here is another room that's similar to the Marsh Cave dungeon, where if you've opened a treasure chest in a different room, then when you get to the same corresponding treasure chest in another room, that chest will be open. Not sure if that could have been related to the Ice Brand sword, I believe was its name, or the Flame Shield. Not sure, or it could have just simply been any given item we have gotten out of a chest. But we are almost done with this floor, which is nice because this recording has really taken off. The time, I mean. And this will more than likely be the last floor that I fully explore. And again, not just because of the time factor, but because we're running low on some of our key spells, the MP for them, and I do not want that to happen. Do not want to run out of certain spells. Over 550 hit points of damage. That's a hit, good grief, and the gil, over 3,000 gil. But yes, the Mount Gulg dungeon, time and time again, it proves to be a rather formidable dungeon. You cannot underestimate it, and I cannot stress that enough. Because this dungeon is the first, especially its lower floors. With each new story-related dungeon that we encounter, it assimilates the natures of previous dungeons into itself. Trigger encounter! So, that's one of the main reasons why this dungeon can be as dangerous as it can be, because it takes a lot of time to navigate, has a much higher enemy encounter rate, and yeah, I think just those two things. I was thinking there was a third one, but no, those are the main two factors. Oh, I know the third one was, and it's a deeper dungeon, because unless this is going to end on basement level 5, which I have no clue if it will or not. I do not remember, but if it does, then it will be identical to the Terra Cavern dungeon in that one regard, since the Terra Cavern had 5 floors. but we will not be coming to that definite conclusion until the next episode, since we're both running out of time and magic. So, for everyone who has been watching all of these episodes regularly, and especially to my subscribers, you all should know what we are currently in the process of doing. And for those who are not aware, you will be aware in the very near future. I won't say it. I'll leave you in suspense just for a little bit. But once you see it, you'll know. You will know. Now what's really nice is that the first 3 floors of this dungeon, it's not a guaranteed thing, but most of the enemies encountered do give the option, the possibility of being susceptible to poison. The actual spell, not status effect. I know that can come across as confusing very quick, but the actual spell, poison, this one, the one that instantly annihilates foes. So it's very nice because that can speed up a lot of fights. But starting on the 4th floor, that changes. You start to encounter much more random enemies, most of which poison does not have an effect on, but also most of which have a high magic defense stat, so it just makes the fight that much more grueling. Then you are forced to just duke it out. Fisticuffs, so to speak. But, with your weapons instead, since, everybody's using an actual weapon and not their fist. Going down the list of the characters just to make sure I'm not overlooking anyone, and also keeping in mind that now we only have 4 more uses of Cure 3. So that's why it's like, yeah, we're still in at the dungeon. So gotta keep that in mind. Gotta get out of the dungeon. Got to stay alive. I don't even know where we are with experience. Okay, very close to a level up. Alright, so that's nice. Definitely nice. This is another reason why earlier I was saying what I was when we were still on the river. To try to level grind as much as possible. That's right, y'all just no, don't do that. I was about to say just keep attacking the warrior. And they decided to attack the black mage. That's like, no, don't do that. Come on now. Very nice. All but one was taken out. But back on the river, what I was saying with that is try to level up as much as you possibly can. For this very reason, I think the turning point, not necessarily the point where it makes this dungeon like super easy, a breeze or anything. Not saying that, but just where it makes it a good bit more manageable. I think that is at level 30, and we will easily be getting to that point. More than likely in the next episode. I mean, we're about to we should level up with this fight, but then we're gonna have probably about 10,000 or so experience points needed to level up again, and that won't be happening. That won't be happening in this episode. I can guarantee that. Okay, so maybe not a level up here, but in the next fight. I'm willing to guarantee it. I'm willing to guarantee it. Almost. So close, yet so far. Good. All but I think that took out I think it took out 3. May have only taken out 2. Being honest, I looked over at my recording screen for a second and everything's so real time that like split second it took me to look between screens, it went from all 4 enemies down to just 1, but I couldn't tell if the poison spell had taken out 3 of the 4 enemies or if the follow-up attack after that happened after poison was cast, if it took out an enemy. So I don't know, but the main takeaway is that they are dead and we are almost safe. Almost. And yes, I'm definitely saving Cure 3 just in case we need it. And not only that, but Life 1 just in case we run into another fight with White Crocs. I'm going to need to have the means to revive, but hopefully that won't be the case. Switch the ice brand out for the coral sword. Always make sure to use shield to get that protective spell in place. Yeah, that easily would have been about 100 hit points of damage otherwise. So, yes, shield 2 definitely to the rescue. And my takeaway on things, most fights, is that so long as you replenish at least the same amount of health that is lost in the fight after the fight, then you're in good shape. You don't always have to heal up every character, but yes, shield 2 please, but in this area on the river, it's very, very unpredictable. So I go ahead and I heal up everybody, even if certain characters didn't take any kind of damage in the previous fight. I would still rather be safe than sorry, but under normal circumstances, I only, heal characters that have taken damage, if for no other reason to help conserve MP and to not, needlessly waste it. But since we are on our way back to town, for anyone who may not be able to come to that conclusion, but since we are almost back to town, it's not that big of a deal. Use it. Use your magic. Because we are about to have it all restored in a few minutes. So do not hold back. Do what you must in order to survive. Our poor monk has taken so much damage in this episode, but I think out of them all, not even I think, I know out of them all, our black mage was the one who really got, got the worst end of the deal. Because he was knocked out. Poor guy. But thankfully, yeah, I'll just go ahead and put shield 2 on. But thankfully, life 1 was there to come to the rescue. And now the rest of this fight is just going to be a rinse and repeat. And they're dead. I almost forgot that Rosa had been poisoned, so gotta take care of that really quick. And we're good to go. Good to take the last 2 steps and get back to town. Alright everybody. I do believe that the majority of the Mount Gulg dungeon has been explored. First 4 levels, and like I've said a few times before, I'm not sure as to how many levels or floors, whichever term you would like to use, but I'm not sure how many floors exist in this dungeon, but we will continue in the next episode, hopefully complete it. We've got the majority of it down, should only have another floor, maybe 2, to take care of, and then we'll be good to go. That's coming up in the next episode. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next episode. LP Guru, signing out.